A storm was brewing, unnoticed by the restless crowd. The auditorium hummed with raw anticipation. It's the National Student Debate Forum, a testing ground for America's sharpest young minds. Top universities from across the country sent their fiercest debaters, and the day had already been packed with brutal clashes. Now, the open debate session, where any student can grab the mic and face off, was about to blow wide open. Drop a comment and tell me where you're tuning in from, I want to know. Lila Bennett strode onto the stage. Known across campus for her take-no-prisoners debating style, she oozed confidence. Her neon green hair caught the spotlight as she gripped the podium, a faint smirk tugging at her lips. The crowd hushed, sensing something big. Fellow students, she began, voice sharp and steady. We're here to talk progress. But there's a problem we can't ignore, the chokehold of old, dusty generations on our future. A few gasps rippled through the room. Some leaned in, hooked already. Look around, Lila pressed, her tone growing bolder. We're drowning in modern problems, climate collapse, tech overload, inequality, and yet people over 50 still call the shots. They cling to their ancient values, their blind faith, their flag waving, their obsession with family. It's a relic. Scattered applause broke out, egging her on. In the fifth row, a tall figure in a crisp blazer sat still, unnoticed by most. Barron Trump had been watching all day, quiet as a shadow. These fossils, Lila sneered, who can't even send a text without help, still dictate our lives. They've had their turn. It's time we admit they're dragging us backward. Cheers swelled, drowning out a few grumbles. Lila's eyes gleamed. She was in her element. What we need, she declared, voice rising, is an age cap on political power. Why should someone who won't live to deal with the fallout get a vote on our future? The room erupted. Students jumped to their feet, clapping wildly. They're obsessed with their guns, their God, their Make America Great Again fantasies, she said, throwing up air quotes. They're dinosaurs. Their America's gone. Let's bury it. The applause roared now. Lila fed off it, her confidence surging. Their so-called values, family, tradition, it's just a mask for privilege and control. They built their wealth on our backs, and now they preach to us about right and wrong. In the fifth row, Barron's jaw tightened, but he didn't move. I say we start a movement, Lila shouted over the noise. Limit voting rights and public office to people under 50. They've had their shot, they blew it, now it's ours. The crowd was electric, some chanting her name. Dr. Grayson, the gray-haired professor moderating the event, stepped forward, his face tight with concern. Does anyone want to counter this? He asked, voice barely cutting through the cheers. Lila folded her arms, smug. No one would dare. The room quieted, students glancing around. Dr. Grayson adjusted his glasses, ready to move on. Then a deep voice sliced through the silence. I will. Every head whipped toward the sound. Lila's smirk widened as Barron Trump stood up, all 6 foot something of him. Well, well, she drawled into the mic. Look who's gracing us with his presence, Daddy's golden boy. A few laughs echoed, but Barron's calm didn't crack as he walked to the stage, suit impeccable against the room's casual vibe. Lila stepped aside with a mock bow. Go ahead, rich kid. Defend your boomer pals. This'll be good. Barron adjusted the mic, slow and deliberate. The crowd held its breath, expecting him to stumble under Lila's reputation. Instead, he gave a small, steady smile. Thanks for your speech, Lila, he said, voice even. You've got passion, but passion without reason is a car with no brakes. Fast, but it'll crash. Lila's smirk twitched, caught off guard by his tone. You're talking progress, Barron continued, but real progress doesn't come from kicking out the people who got us here. It builds on what they did. He paused, letting it sink in. When you say folks over 50 shouldn't have a say, you're dismissing the ones who invented the tech you're tweeting from right now. Lila opened her mouth, but Barron raised a hand. Hold up. You had your turn. I listened. Now you listen. The crowd stirred. Lila wasn't used to being handled like that. You brought up smartphones, he said, a flicker of amusement in his voice. Guess who pioneered half the stuff in your phone? People in their 60s and 70s now. The same dinosaurs you want to mute. Lila rolled her eyes. That's old news. Speaking of news, Barron cut in, smooth as steel. You say their America's dead, but that America built this stage you're standing on. The schools we go to, their work. The cash that lets us debate instead of scrape by, they're doing. The The freedom to mouth off like this? They fought for it. The room shifted. Some of Lila's loudest fans started nodding. They don't get today's problems, she snapped, voice spiking. Really? Barron raised an eyebrow. The generation that survived wars, recessions, and the internet's birth doesn't get tough times? They've solved stuff we haven't even faced yet. Lila's face reddened. Their values, you mean hard work, accountability, respect? Barron's tone sharpened. Those built this country. Look around. This room, this debate, it's all thanks to them. Murmurs spread. Lila's crew got quieter. Here's what worries me, Barron said, eyes scanning the crowd. You're pushing for exclusion in the name of progress. Banning people based on age, that's not forward thinking, that's a step back. Lila's cool was slipping. Let's keep it simple, Barron added, voice steady. Elon Musk, over 50. Bill Gates, over 60. Cancer researchers are professors, mostly over 50. My dad, 78. You toss them out because they're old? Oh, how sweet, Lila spat, sarcasm dripping. The trust fund prince preaching about innovation. Notice how he name-drops billionaires, the 1% who hog everything while the rest of us struggle. Some students clapped. Lila's fire flaring back. And since you mentioned your dad, she sneered, let's talk his values. Division, control, shoving religion down our throats. Funny, Barron said, unfazed. You claim to love diversity, but trash people's faith. Who's controlling who here? Their faith oppresses, Lila shot back, pointing at him. Their values are chains, and you're just a spoiled brat defending a rigged game. The crowd roared, feeding her attack. Barron's smile held. Let's test that, he said, voice cutting through. You say it's control, but those values drove millions to fight for rights, help neighbors, build towns. My spoiled life? I've been at veteran shelters since I was 14. What about you, Lila? How much time have you put in? Silence hit hard. Lila's smirk faded. That's not what you meant, Barron finished. It never is when the facts don't fit. You dodge with insults. Textbook move when you're losing. Don't you dare! Lila's voice cracked as she stormed toward him, green hair flying, finger jabbing. You waltz in here with your fancy suit, your prep school manners, your privilege lecturing us. The room tensed, some students standing, caught in her fury. You want to talk helping people, she yelled. Your family's the poster child for what's wrong. Elites hiding behind values while real Americans rot. She spun to the crowd. Look at him, acting like he belongs here, propping up a system that screws us. You know what? This clown doesn't deserve to breathe our air. The words echoed. Dr. Grayson stepped in, alarmed. That's enough. But Barron raised a hand. It's fine, Professor, he said, calm as ever. He turned to Lila, voice low but firm. Here's what's funny, Lila. When your points flop, you scream. When logic fails, you insult. When you've got nothing left, you show who you really are. Her face burned red. I'm showing the truth about you. No, Barron said, steady. You're showing what happens when anger pretends to be justice. You fight bias by being biased. You want respect but dish out none. For millions who built this nation. The room went dead quiet. Even Lila's diehard sat still. I see someone, Barron went on, so stuck in her own head she's forgotten the basics. Every generation owes the one before. Lila tried to cut in, weaker now. You're twisting. I'm quoting you, Barron said, smooth. You called them fossils, mocked their beliefs, trashed their work. Why? Because they don't think like you. That's not progress, that's a tantrum. He faced the crowd. You just saw it. Someone preaching inclusion while shutting out millions. Tolerance with zero patience for different views. Lila's hands gripped the podium, knuckles white. Here's the kicker, Barron said, voice softening. You're trashing them while living off what they gave you, this stage, these rights, this education. So Lila, in your progress, is there space for anyone who disagrees? Or just your echo chamber? Lila opened her mouth. No sound came out. Her fire was gone. Barron stepped back, leaving her alone with the weight of his words. Lila slumped back to her seat, head down. The debates rolled on, but the vibe had shifted. Speakers after her toned it down, picking words carefully. An hour later, as Dr. Grayson wrapped up, Lila's hand shot up, shaky. Yes, Miss Bennett? He asked, wary. Can I say something? Her voice was a whisper, nothing like before. Students swapped nervous looks. Dr. Grayson nodded. Quickly, Lila shuffled to the podium, no swagger left. "I need to say this," she started, voice trembling. "Earlier I came up here full of myself, tearing into people who built everything we've got. I disrespected millions. I was wrong," she swallowed hard. "I didn't expect Barron Trump to school me on what real fairness looks like. I'm sorry. To everyone I trashed, to the generations I spat on. I get it now." She bolted off stage, slipping out the back. Later, as students cleared out, Lila spotted Barron grabbing his bag. Heart pounding, she walked over, bracing for a cold shoulder. "Barron?" she said, voice small. He turned, no anger, just a warm nod. "Yeah?" "I'm sorry," she blurted, "for everything. The insults, the way I acted." He shrugged, easygoing. "We're young. We get fired up, think we've got it all figured out. It happens. That's why the older crowd's worth hearing." "They've been us." Lila blinked, thrown by his chill. "How are you so cool about this?" "Good role models," he said. "People who showed me winning isn't about dunking on folks, it's about getting it. Older generations have seen this movie before. They know the ending." She nodded, floored by his vibe. Then, out of nowhere, she stepped in and hugged him. He froze for a sec, then hugged back, chill as always. They pulled apart, a quiet understanding settling in. But here's where it flips. As Barron headed for the exit, a guy in a hoodie, mid-20s, scruffy, blocked his path. "Trump, right?" the guy said, voice low, edgy. Barron stopped. "Yeah, that's me." The guy smirked, pulling a phone from his pocket. "Lila didn't just lose up there. She's been planning this all day." He tapped the screen, audio crackling to life. It was Lila's voice, smug and sharp. "Wait till this Trump kid steps up. I'll bait him, let him talk his crap, then we drop the real bomb. Proof his family's been buying influence in these debates for years. He'll look like a fraud." Barron's face didn't change, but his eyes narrowed. The guy kept going. "She recorded you all day, side chats, warm-ups. She's got clips of you talking to organizers, sounding real cozy. Edited just right. It's gonna hit X tonight. Barron Trump rigs student debates." "She didn't hug you to make nice. She hugged you to plant a mic," he grinned, dark. "Check your jacket." Barron patted his blazer. Sure enough, a tiny black dot stuck to the lapel. He peeled it off, staring at it. The guy laughed. "She's outside with her crew, uploading it now." "You're toast, man." Barron's jaw tightened, but he didn't flinch. "Why tell me?" "'Cause I hate her more than I hate you," the guy said, shrugging. "She screwed me over last semester, tanked my rep in a group project. This is payback." Barron nodded. "Slow. Appreciate it." He crushed the mic under his heel, then bolted for the door. Outside, Lila stood with 3 friends, phones out, laughing as they watched a video upload bar creep to 100%. She didn't see Barron until he was 5 feet away. "Lila," he said, voice flat. She jumped, grin fading. "What? How'd you—" "Nice try," he cut in, holding up the smashed mic. Her face went white. "You didn't just debate me," he said, stepping closer. "You set me up. Planted this. Edited some dirt. Thought you'd bury me online." Her friends froze, phones dropping to their sides. I didn't," she stammered. "Save it," Barron snapped, louder now. "You're not sorry. You're just mad you got caught. The upload hit 100%. Lila smirked, shaky but defiant. "Too late. It's live. You're done." Barron pulled out his own phone, dialed fast. "Hey, it's me. Yeah, they posted it. Can you handle it?" A pause, then he hung up. He looked at Lila, dead calm. "You think that clip's gonna stick? My team's already on it. Legal, PR, the works. By morning it's scrubbed, and you're the one who looks like a snake." Her smirk vanished. "You can't, I can," he said. "You picked the wrong fight." He turned to the growing crowd, students filming, whispering. "You all saw her up there, playing the martyr. Here's the truth. She faked it, planted a mic, twisted some audio, tried to trash me. That's not progress, that's a cheap shot." Lila's friends backed off as the crowd murmured, phones now pointed at her. "Barron, wait," she started, voice cracking. He didn't look back. "Next time, fight fair," he said, walking off into the night. Lila stood there, alone, the upload notification blinking on her screen. Comments were already rolling in, not about Barron but her. Liar. Setup. Pathetic. Her hands shook as she shut off her phone, the weight of her own trap crashing down. Back inside, Dr. Grayson shook his head at the chaos. "Kids these days," he muttered, packing up. "If you like this wild ride, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories about grit, guts, and what makes America tick." Thanks for watching. Stay sharp out there. The clash between Lila Bennett and Barron Trump isn't just a dramatic debate, it's a story packed with powerful lessons. The first takeaway is respect across generations. Young or old, everyone brings something valuable to the table. In life, instead of dismissing or criticizing those who differ from us, we should listen and learn from them. Second, honesty and fairness are the backbone of any argument or relationship. Lila didn't lose because of her views, but because she played dirty. A reminder that real success comes from integrity, not tricks. Finally, the story shows we all mess up sometimes, but what matters is how we face it and fix it. Apply this to your own life, stand your ground without losing your morals, and be ready to own up when you're wrong. Thanks for sticking with this story. If it got you thinking, drop a comment with your thoughts and hit that like button to show some love. Your feedback means a lot.